Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel where we specialize in everything except fantasy football. Today, I will be sharing with you my top 10 running back rankings for the 2022 fantasy football season in a full PPR league. Now, I am definitely no expert in fantasy, but I do love football, and I do my own research because it is something I love to do. And also to be prepared for the fantasy season, which, in my opinion, is literally the most wonderful time in the world. I hope you guys enjoy my list. Please, if you love the content, like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And without further ado, here are my top 10. The number one running back after last year's fantasy season grabs the top spot to no one's surprise. The guy had 9 games of at least 20 PPR points last year, which was tops among rushers, and has scored a touchdown in 18 of his last 23 games. Now, with improved quarterback play, we should also give his targets a boost, along with a solid offensive line and another year under his extremely young belt. JT is poised to explode again this year. Even if he does get the rumored reduced workload, pick him first in PPR, half PPR, standard, or even for your basketball fantasy team. The guy will produce. Number two, Christian McCaffrey, the cheat code. We all draft him because we all want that 2019 production, and he can definitely still deliver. The only problem is if he can stay on the field, not off of it. Could very easily go number one, but with the youth of Taylor and McCaffrey's uncertain risk possibility, number two is a safer bet. If you believe he will be healthy all season, you take him one. If you don't, well, then you don't. Simple. Number three, Derrick Henry. King Henry has arrived, and he's here for what he is owed, and that is a top three fantasy running back spot. Last year, he was something to behold, absolutely scorching the league with a week two performance of 47.7 PPR points, and then continued with 19.4, 25.7, 31.0, and 35.6 the following 4 weeks, respectively. But unfortunately, a hurt foot ended his magical run. Injury or not, don't be concerned. There's no reason to believe he can't pick up where he left off. And with something to prove. I can see Henry running over and obliterating a few people in a moment of anger and vengeance. I also can see people taking him number two, but three is the perfect spot for me. Number four, Austin Ekeler. Now, Ekeler at four seems like the perfect spot. I think he is a PPR marvel and will always be a target monster. But the 20 touchdowns from last year almost certainly will not be repeated. So his ceiling could be very predictable. But nonetheless, you draft him as a workhorse because a repeat of 94 targets is almost certain, along with a great quarterback under center. And with another year together, he should be an exciting player to watch once again. At number five, Dalvin Cook. A lot of people don't know how to feel about Cook, but I do. Yes, he missed 4 games, and yes, his production dipped a bit. But with that in mind, he still averaged almost 22 touches and just over 106 yards per game. With the all world talent that is Justin Jefferson on the outside, and with new offensive minded head coach Kevin O'Connell taking the reins, Cook is looking at a stellar 2022 season, and his injury history, along with his upside, puts him at the perfect spot at five. Number six, we got Najee Harris. A wise old man once said, too much of a good thing can be bad. That man is also dead. That is why we won't be listening to him when we are drafting our players, especially Najee. He is the opposite of the quote. The more the better with him. Since his fantasy output relies on his insane workload, the more the better. Last year, he had a not so great 3.9 yards per carry. Pair that with diminished quarterback play this year and a pretty terrible offensive line, his efficiency could be a problem again. But none of that will matter if he's able to repeat his 381 touches from last year, which is definitely a possibility, Take him at 6 and don't look back. Number 7, Joe Mixon. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Mixon ends up being a top 5 or even top 3 running back this year. He had an amazing season last year. Even though he had arguably the worst offensive line blocking for him, he still put up 1,205 yards and 13 touchdowns. With a highly upgraded offensive line, plus another year under this young but talented offense's belt, I expect those numbers to go up with the potential to be a top 3 back. He's a steal at 7. Number 8, Alvin Kamara. Now, I know what you're saying. My lord, how can you have him at 8th? This guy is top 5, easy. And I say, shut up. This is my list. Go make your own list if you don't like it. Sheesh. Anyway, his efficiency dipped a bit last year. But either way, I can see him still producing a top 10 finish. And with him most likely not being suspended this year, I feel comfortable taking him in the top 8. But with the uncertainty of the quarterback play, coupled with him being a year older, 8th is the highest I would take him. Number 9, DeAndre Swift. Swift is an easy pick at 9. I can also see why some people might like to take him even earlier. Through 10 games last year, before his injury, he led all running backs with 53 receptions. He's a PPR dream come true, with a stout offensive line coupled with the Lions most likely being in plenty of negative game scripts. I can see him catching balls and taking names all season long. Swift to the moon. And finally, at number 10, Aaron Jones. With Devontae Adams not being there, there's a chance, a small chance, but a chance nonetheless, that Aaron Jones could be the leading pass catcher in Green Bay this year. When Jones has played without Devontae in the lineup, he has averaged 4.5 catches and 23 PPR points per game. Rodgers loves throwing to Jones, regardless of who his receivers are. But now, with less weapons, expect Jones to get peppered with targets. AJ Dillon should handle most of the work on the ground between the 20s, but no worries, Jones will still get his. If you love huge upside, Aaron Jones at 10 makes perfect sense. Again, like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed the video. And stay tuned for my top 10 wide receivers list video, where I will be held upside down and waterboarded by David Blaine until I finish my list. Until next time, have a good one.